One of the best things about science is it doesn't ask you to believe it, it asks you to test it. Today we're looking at one of the most persistent claims in this corner of the internet. That gravity doesn't actually exist, and everything that we see can be explained by just density and buoyancy. So we're going to listen carefully to that argument, which comes in the form of a garage scientist experiment, separate the parts that are true from the parts that really aren't, and ask one simple question throughout. Can density and buoyancy actually replace gravity? Let's find out. Hello all and welcome along to another episode of Tinfoil Tuesday with me, Simon Dan. Thanks very much for joining me. So today's video comes from a man called Paul Russell, who I like to call the internet scientist. Now, rather than just talking about density and buoyancy, Paul is going to head outside with a very large bucket of water, a collection of rocks and some tissue to demonstrate why he believes these two concepts can completely replace gravity. Now, I always appreciate it when someone is willing to perform an experiment rather than simply make assertions from his garage. The only catch is that an experiment has to test the thing that you think it's testing. As you'll see, that's where things start to go a little sideways. So let's watch what Paul has got to say and then we'll break it down together. Here we go.
Buenos dias. Sunday morning. I just kind of had my first coffee and some of the comments, so you've got to answer them straight away, these ones. The buoyancy and density and gravity. Loads of you. Well, you've seen the bowling ball and the feather. What more do you want? What more do I want? That was exciting, but watching the bowling ball and the feather would have been way more exciting seeing the feather drop properly at the same speed as the bowling ball. That's what I want to see. Isn't it what you want to see?
Well, we shall come to that later, but the famous bowling ball and feather experiment doesn't prove everything about gravity. It demonstrates one very specific prediction, that when you remove air resistance, objects with different masses fall at the same rate. It's actually a beautiful demonstration of gravity once you remove the other force, air resistance, that's masking it.
Density and buoyancy, don't forget folks, all of my life I was convinced it was gravity.
It's gravity, Paul. Density isn't a force. It's simply a measurement of how much mass is packed into a given volume. Now, buoyancy is a force, but it only exists because there's a pressure difference within a fluid. And that pressure difference exists because gravity is pulling on that fluid itself. In other words, buoyancy doesn't replace gravity, it relies on it.
I thought the freaking place was round, right? Because of my objective nature, I can latch onto something when it's suspicious and have a closer look. Now, the basics. If I release these two, which one's going to hit the deck first?
Well, the scrunched up tissue, obviously. Gravity is pulling on both pieces of tissue almost equally, because they essentially have the same mass. The difference is one is spread out like a tiny parachute, whilst the other one has been compressed into a much smaller shape. Now, the flat sheet has a huge surface area for its weight, so that means the air is going to push back on it much more. The scrunched up one slices through the air with far less resistance, so it reaches the ground first. Easy.
Well done. Obviously.
Indeed. Thank you very much.
So, if I do that again, I scrunch them both up. Which one's going to hit? Which one's going to reach here first? About there. Ah, what's that? Now, why did that happen? Why is gravity not pulling that down? Why is gravity not pulling that down?
Well, because water is around 800 times denser than air, so an object moving through it experiences vastly greater drag. On top of that, the tissue in the water experiences an upward buoyant force, because the water pressure is greater at the bottom of the bucket than at the top. So the tissue in the water has three significant forces acting on it: gravity pulling down, buoyancy pushing up, and drag resisting its motion. The tissue in the air has gravity pulling down and a comparatively tiny amount of air resistance. Of course, they don't fall at the same speed. No one would expect them to.
Maybe if I make it tighter, Get all of that.
That was weird.
That'll do it. Now why? This is density and buoyancy. How do you prove that it is gravity pulling it down and not anything that is denser than the medium that it is in will sink? If it's denser, it sinks. Like so. Fine. Right?
Let me try and explain this to you, Paul, in a way that perhaps you might understand. Now imagine taking your bucket of water onto the International Space Station. Drop a pebble into it and nothing will happen. It won't sink to the bottom because there isn't a meaningful bottom on the space station. The pebble, the bucket and the water, they all float together. The pebble is still denser than the water here. Its density hasn't changed one bit, but it no longer sinks. Why? Because density is a property, not a force. Gravity provides the downward force. Gravity acting on the water creates a pressure difference that provides buoyancy. Those two forces then determine whether an object rises or falls.
So now what do we have? We have this one floating. This one is sunk. This one. Now how do you prove what is what? Now what I'm saying is when you have the feather and the bowling, it doesn't matter what it is, does it? Feather, bowling ball, feather, 20-ton rock. What we're being told is they all drop at the same rate in a vacuum because gravity pulls everything at the same rate.
Well, of course the pebble sinks, it's much denser than water. But again, you've only described what happens. You haven't explained why it happens. If density alone caused objects to sink, then a pebble would sink in water anywhere in the universe. But of course, it doesn't. Gravity pulls water down, creating higher pressure deeper under the surface than at the top. Again, that pressure difference creates the buoyant force. The pebble's weight is greater than the buoyant force, so it sinks. The tissue's weight is less than the buoyant force, so it floats. Take gravity away, and you take away the pressure gradient that creates buoyancy in the first place.
So, in the atmosphere, the rock clearly falls faster. So what we're being told is the reason it's falling faster is because the air pressure, the air resistance on this slows it down. It's air resistance that's slowing that down. There is air resistance on this, but I'm sorry, feather, but I mean, how much air resistance? There will be some. So if we drop this and another one exactly the same size as this, same weight, one in a vacuum chamber and this one not in a vacuum chamber, and we, I don't know, 20 meters, you'd think the one in the vacuum chamber would travel slightly faster because there's no air resistance.
Yes, that's precisely what we predict. In fact, physicists don't just think that would happen. We've measured it countless times. The object in the vacuum reaches the ground sooner because you've removed the upward drag force caused by the air. The gravitational acceleration hasn't changed. The only thing that's changed is that one object has another force opposing its motion whilst the other doesn't. But air resistance doesn't depend only on the air. It also depends on the other object's shape, surface area and speed. A feather has enormous surface area compared to its weight, so the drag force is huge compared to its weight. A rock has a much smaller surface area compared to its weight, so the drag force is tiny relative to the downward gravitational force. It is the ratio here that matters.
But then we get to the feather, don't we? So, atmosphere? All right, I didn't mean to trick you guys there. Now
My word, can you imagine if he broke his foot or something whilst filming this? How'd you break your foot there, mate? I was filming a video about how gravity wasn't real and I dropped a rock on it.
Vacuum chamber. Both of them in a vacuum chamber. I don't want to see this. I want to see that. That's all I'm saying. Is that too much to ask? Did we get that? Let me go back a bit. I'm not sure that we got that.
You ask and you shall receive, Paul. Here is the bowling ball and feather in a vacuum experiment in real time. And once more, in case you missed it.
That's entertaining. But to see this, that's gold. That would put it beyond doubt. Why go through all of that and then not show the feather dropping the same rate as the bowling ball? Is it too much to ask, folks?
Nope, and now you've seen it. So the question remains, Paul, is that enough for you? Or are you going to go back on what you said? So there we have it, exactly what Paul asked for. Two objects with vastly different masses falling together in a vacuum, just as physics predicts. Now, if Paul genuinely believes that gravity is not responsible for this, here is my challenge to him. Don't tell us why you think the current explanation is wrong. Show us what your explanation predicts instead. If density and buoyancy are all that's needed, then make a testable prediction. Tell us what should happen when two objects of a different mass are dropped in a vacuum. Tell us why they should behave that way. Better still, find a vacuum chamber and demonstrate it. Because that is how science really moves forward. Not by pointing at an experiment and saying, I don't buy it, but by offering a better explanation that makes better predictions. So far, every experiment we've seen on this either agrees with gravity or depends on gravity to work. The ball is in your court, Paul. And that's where we're going to wrap up another video for another Tinfoil Tuesday. Please do let me know in the comments below what you thought of this one from Paul. As I say, we're all done and dusted for another video. Thanks so much as ever for watching today. If you enjoyed it, please do consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the thumbs up button too. It'd be very much appreciated. I've been Simon Dan. Have yourselves a great day and I'll see you on Thursday for some flat earth map fun. See you then.